You're listening to Sarah Hagan Backstage, with interviews and insights from years inside the music industry. Join Sarah as she talks with masters of their crafts, finding out what makes them tick, both inside and outside of the music business.
Welcome to Sarah Hagan Backstage. My guest today, Marcus Gilmore, has traveled the world playing with some incredible musicians, including Stanley Clarke, Chick Corea, Christian Scott, Zakir Hussain, and many more. I'm going to talk to Marcus today about how he got his start in drumming, his experiences playing with these amazing musicians, and what he has coming up, including some tour dates with Robert Glasper and an appearance at the Percussive Arts Society International Convention this November. So come along with me as I catch up with Marcus Gilmore. Marcus Gilmore, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome. It's so great to see you.
It's great to be here. It's great to be seen, and it's great to see you too.
Yes, absolutely. You look so peaceful. You're in like a very zen environment there.
Yeah, that's it's an ideal environment for me.
Right?
Try to get more of that in my life.
Absolutely. We all need a little more zen.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I love it. So how are you? How have you been? It's been so long since I've seen you. Tell me how you have been through the pandemic and quarantine and all of that.
Yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a learning experience. It's been exciting in some ways because I've been able to tap into some other things and other aspects of my life and of things of my interests. I know we were just talking about artists spending time learning how to record themselves and audio and visual. But yeah, that's definitely been a thing that I've spent quite a bit of time doing and spending more time with family.
Yeah. Did you discover any like interests that you didn't even know you had, or
Good question. I mean, I can say truthfully that I can't think of anything that I discovered that I didn't know that I wasn't aware of. Like an interest that I wasn't aware of. But for sure, I definitely zoned into the interest that I knew I had, but I just felt like I didn't have enough time, or I just wasn't in one space to really focus on. And so that was really great to just have space to do that, to be in one environment for a really long period of time, which is isn't so normal for a touring musician. So
absolutely.
But when there's no tours, then it's like things.
Yeah,
change
you
in
improvise,
space.
right?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's been really nice.
That's good. That's a good thing. And things are picking up quite a bit. We'll talk.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about what you have going on now, and it's so great. But I just want to talk about the last time I saw you, because it was almost 2 years ago now. We were together before NAMM in LA for the Zildjian Live filming, and it was so good. I just I think back on that experience and NAMM and that time frame, and I'm just like so grateful that I got to see you. And yeah, so many of like our friends, and we were all together, and we had that experience before we were all like shut in for so long.
Yeah, that was the timing of that was really great. Just to kind of sustain some type of inspiration, once things kind of shut down. Yeah, because it was literally within weeks of everything changing, shifting into the quarantine and all that. So that was a really, really positive period and a positive event for sure. And also the subsequent release of all those videos in the midst of the pandemic was also pretty inspiring too. So
yeah, it was nice to see like the just the new music coming out, and even though everybody was shut in, like the buildup of content, and that was one of the things that did come out of the pandemic that was a positive, was all of that recorded music that was then like released at the time. And I loved that, like, a lot of artists didn't hold on to the music waiting for the end. It was like, let's release it now. Let's get it out there, get the creativity flowing. Let's inspire people. And
yeah, I mean,
it was
especially
good.
once once the pandemic kept getting drawn out longer and longer, people were like, okay, I was going to try to wait, but I don't know how long this is going to last. So we're going to have to do something with, this.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, because how long is it going to be? Nobody knows. So let's just do what we need to do. But yeah, that was such a great experience, and it was a whirlwind couple of days. And I remember like the super, super late rehearsal night, and like you coming in.
Right. Yeah, thank God I didn't have to go too late. I kind of got in and out. Thank God, because I linked up with the band before we got to LA.
Yes.
So I had semblance of what I knew pretty more or less what I was going to do. We still had to work out a few things, but somehow it worked out that I didn't have to stay too. I remember Sarah had to stay pretty late, right?
Yeah, Sarah Thawer, JD Beck, I think was maybe the last one to rehearse, and I think we were there at the rehearsal space till like maybe 3 a.m, and then back early in the morning. But yeah, you were like you were really in and out of there, so well prepared, of course. But
well, I tried. Yeah. I had some support.
Yes, absolutely. So that was recent times, but let's go like way back in time and talk a little bit about the start of your journey in music, because we go way back. I feel like we've known each other. Well, we've known each other for a very long time, but I think about you coming up and as a young player, and just like always from the very beginning, knowing that you had this incredible talent, but you had other things that were really important as well. You had like a great personality, a really positive attitude, like, and really, really just so professional, like even as a young player among your peers. And you just really always stood out to me as somebody who was in it and like going somewhere, like, and you knew what you were doing, you knew where you were going. And you were just like really kind of steady and confident in what you were doing. And I always loved that. But let's talk about like way back when you first started. And we've talked about this before, because Grandpop Roy Haynes is, just a legend, of course, in the drumming community and in the world of music. And you have talked a lot about how it wasn't that he like taught you how to play drums, but he let you be immersed in the world of being a musician, being a drummer, right? And I'd love if you could talk a little bit about just that experience of watching him play and like being around those musicians from a young age.
Yeah, that was those years were very, very. It's my foundation essentially. I come from a musical family, and my grandfather being the patriarch and the most significant musician in the family. It was always great just to be around him, as my grandfather. But then, of course, I had a natural affinity for the music at a very young age, and I realized that. My mother realized that too. So, at a certain point, time spent with him wasn't just about grandpops and grandson. It was also about, studying music and the culture. So, that was a very important period for me. And, I'm really thankful and blessed, that I had the opportunity not just to be around him, but also other musicians as well, and people that he collaborated with, or even some friends. I have a really beautiful memory of going to see him perform in 1995 at Bryant Park. It was a JVC Jazz Festival thing happening, and it was the bill. It was him and Elvin Jones playing back to back. So, I got a chance to meet Elvin, and I also got a chance to see them both play back to back, which was, is more than enough to see one of them play, but to see them both play back to back, it was, changed my life.
Wow.
And it kind of showed me what was possible, You know what I mean? Which is really the most important thing. It's just kind of being that close to that level of greatness, but also seeing that to be great, you don't have to be like the other person. You know, they each had their own completely individualistic approach. And I mean, yeah, it changed my life, literally, literally changed my life. So, so yeah, I'm really fortunate to have had these experiences and had the support and just had the access to that type of, you know, access to just that level. You know what I mean? Like somebody at that level. Nowadays, it's interesting because, you know, there's social media and there's YouTube and everything. So there's a lot of information that people have access to. But in terms of actually experiencing these things in person, it seems to be well, obviously now because we're kind of still in the pandemic,
Right.
That obviously is very different. But even before the pandemic, it just seemed like there wasn't as much of I don't know, I don't want to say importance, but it seems like it wasn't stressed as much as it was when I was younger, that you had to go out and see somebody. Like you can't just, also because we couldn't just download the videos and see
Right.
stuff. So we really just had to go, or you know, at the very, I mean, even just to be able to get a recording of them, like an audio recording. I had to go to the library or go to somebody's house who had the recording.
Yes.
You know, I couldn't just go online and download it. So it's just a very different time. And I feel weird even saying that because I don't feel like I'm necessarily old, but I mean, a lot of things have changed in the last 15, 20 years, especially 25 years. So yeah.
It does feel like that. Like technology's come so far in such a short amount of time that you don't have to be old to remember what it was like back then. You know, we didn't have YouTube. You couldn't just, you know, at your fingertips, Google search for everything and have it all pop up and be able to watch whoever you wanted at any time. It's pretty amazing. But it is significant that you had those experiences as a kid, because that was really the only way to experience music in that way and to be kind of like immersed in it. So, and you have other, you know, musicians in your family too. Like you said, you came from this musical family. So I think it's pretty amazing. And I do remember seeing pictures of you as a little boy with Chick Corea.
Yes.
And then to be playing with him, like that has to be a really full circle moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that I'm really thankful for. It's not just having met these people and having had access to them in some capacity at a really early age, you know, being able to see them and meet them, but it was really just the fact that I knew what I was into, just that alone, and I could focus a lot of energy towards it and towards like reaching my goals, because I had other interests, but I knew that this was like the most important thing for me. So like, you know, even in that picture, I was like, okay, I already had it set in my mind. I was like, one day I'm gonna get, you know, hopefully, God willing, I'll be able to play with this guy. Or even, you know, that concert, I think that picture that you're referring to was from a concert that he did that also had, you know, the great Wallace Rooney and Joshua Redman and Chris McBride. You know, it's this incredible band. And I felt that way about all the artists. I was like, one day I'm gonna play with, and that, thank God I actually had a chance to play with them.
Yes.
So, but I just know that if I didn't know at that age that I wanted to do it, I don't know if it would have happened, because I wouldn't have directed as much energy towards, you know, doing what I had to do to get there.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that's, you know, that's something that's changed a lot too, because it was one of those things where you had to really set an intention for that very particular thing. Like you couldn't just like make videos of yourself and put those out there necessarily to get those connections. Like it's, you know, it's significant that you had those connections from a young age. And I can imagine those musicians watching you grow up and, you know, then having you play with them and just being wowed by you as well. So, you know, and also what I said a few minutes ago about your personality and the way that you kind of came up, but you didn't come up with this entitlement, like, well, this is what, what I deserve. It was more like you were working for that. And I think that I'm sure that they saw that too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I even just to get, because I knew I was well aware that I wanted to dedicate my life to this, and that I wanted to, be a full-time musician and drummer. But even just getting the kit from my grandfather took a bit of convincing. He's like, "Are you serious?" Like, because kids go through these phases, and it's just not something you kind of, especially in my family, that you just kind of casually do. It's a real commitment. So it took some convincing on part of my mother had to kind of convince my grandfather for a couple of years before I was able to get a kit.
Wow.
And even after I got it, there were some things that happened. He was like, "You sure you really want to do this?" Like, it was pretty deep, actually.
Yeah, that is really interesting. They wanted to be sure that you were like really serious about it. And probably because they know what it takes, right? Like it's not easy. But it's so interesting that you had the same experience as like so many other drummers, even though you came from this musical family with this really incredibly well-known, drumming grandfather. Like you still had to convince them that this is what you wanted to do.
Yep.
I always say that drummers, like child drummers, are the best salesmen and saleswomen ever, because that convincing process where you're just like, no, but really, really, and I'll do this if you let me play drums, or because it's not a small commitment. It's pretty serious.
Pretty serious. Yeah, people dedicate their lives to this. People put their lives on the line for it too. So yeah, it's pretty serious.
Yeah, absolutely. And your drumming is taking you all over the world, and in so many different playing environments. And I think about, you play jazz music primarily, but you also play other styles of music. And I know that you're into Afro-Cuban, and I know that you've played with Zakir Hussain. Tell me about some of those experiences going to those other countries and playing, different styles.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this instrument and this music has taken me all over the world. It's been great. And the opportunities that I've had to collaborate with, all types of incredible artists from all over the world has been, really a huge blessing. Yeah, speaking of Cuban, so I guess the first time I ever really consciously checked out Cuban music, Afro-Cuban music, was probably sometime in the mid '90s. I remember my uncle actually had back when those the DTI videos where that was it for like short videos. He had the Ignacio Barroa one, and it was really an incredible video for me because he really broke a lot of things down and talked about the roots of the music and everything. But around that same time, I remember there was a period where my grandfather was doing a double bill at the Blue Note, and it was with his quartet and Gonzalo Rubalcaba's trio. And I think the drummer playing at that time was Julio Barreto, who was phenomenal. And Gonzalo was phenomenal in his own right. And I just remember it was just crazy just witnessing that much music in one night. Like 2 sets of my grandfather's group and 2 sets of Gonzalo's trio with Julio, just back to back. And I think I was like 8 or 9 at the time. My mom took me out. Thank God my mom took me to the places I needed to be. And she let me stay for both sets. I was supposed to stay for one, and it's a school night. But, she saw how excited I was about everything, especially after the first set. So, she let me stay for the whole night. And it just, it really opened my mind. And I felt a natural affinity for it too, that music and that culture, especially being of the African diaspora. So I naturally gravitated towards it. And as the time went on, I kept had quite a few opportunities to collaborate with Afro-Cuban musicians. So that's always been a part of my a really strong influence in my life. And ever since I was exposed to it, it's been a staple for me.
Absolutely. And you spent time in Africa, right? Like not just playing, but traveling.
Yeah, I wanted to. I actually was planning on doing that, but unfortunately, I didn't get to do it the way I wanted. But I've been to the continent many times, different countries, north, west, south, southwest. And the last time I went, actually, I spent like an extra week there with my father. I was in South Africa, and
In South Africa.
that was a really great experience too. Yeah, there's just so much great music, and just really interesting cultures to observe. And
Yeah.
but I always have my foundation though.
Yes, absolutely. What was your plan, or what is like your plan maybe for the future for what you want? Where do you want to go?
Physically, like
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you said, you didn't get to do the trip like you wanted to do it.
Yeah, I didn't. So yeah, one day I do intend to do that for sure, or multiple trips really. It is. I think it's a really great idea to travel while you're not working, because it's so common for somebody like myself, or somebody that's a touring musician, to only travel when they're working. And you can check out a lot of aspects of a culture if you're traveling while you're working. If you're really diligent and you try to manage your time correctly, you can get into some things and really check a lot of things out about a culture, even while you're out there working. But it's different when you just go, just to go. You don't have to build your schedule around your work.
Right.
So, and yeah, that could be like a whole different vibe, really. So I haven't done it as much as I would have liked to, but I see myself doing it more and more. And all over the continent of Africa, really, there's a lot of things, really interesting things happening in the States. And then of course, like South America is really great. I spent a lot of time in Brazil over the years, which has a lot of really fascinating cultures. And also, you mentioned Zakir, so I've been to Asia quite a bit, but since I started working with him, I had a few chances. I think I went to India 3 times since I started working with him, and those were really incredible experiences, because that's like, especially as a drummer, because India is a country that's basically like crazy about drums.
Yes.
Like the whole country, and every region has a different culture. It's incredible. It's really incredible.
Yeah, you think about
ancient too. It's like old. You know what I mean? So it's like it goes back. Yeah, it's pretty deep actually.
Absolutely. And that's a place to see, the history and just when you're not playing, to spend some time and see the history. That's a place that I would love to travel through as well.
Go to temples and stuff. And
yes. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. We think about the history here, there are a lot of in the United States, there are a lot of there's a lot of history that you can see and observe, but as soon as you travel to anywhere else, you see like real hundreds and hundreds and things that are thousands of years old, and it's just like you can't even fathom, I think, just that feeling of standing somewhere where someone else built something thousands of years ago. It's just
years ago. Yep.
Right. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, because we're from such a new country.
Yes,
it's really young. And
absolutely.
Even though there were people here, before America was started, it's like so much of that was wiped out. It's like,
yes,
really to get that perspective it's helpful to get either to try to tap into the indigenous culture here, but it's a lot easier to go to other countries because they've maintained and preserved a lot of what has happened in that.
For sure. So. Yes. And I think like how that relates back to music is feeling the music, the musical culture from other places, I think is like incredibly important. And you can hear it in someone who is who is well traveled and who has really kind of like immerse themselves into the music that comes from other cultures. And, you know, like you were saying, your history, like embracing that and putting that into the music that you're making. And then people can feel it. And I just love that. I am a huge fan of Afro-Cuban music as well. And there's just something about it. And like you said about India, like with drumming just being so immersed in the culture. And then when you hear that music and you're a drumming fan or you're a drummer, even just a fan of music, and you can feel that history coming through, it's so moving. I don't know. There's just something about it.
Yeah, no, it's extremely moving.
For sure. And so talking about like the music that you make, the bands that you put together, because you put groups together and you have, you know, residencies in New York and all of that. How are you, you know, are you drawing on those relationships that you've had in the past to pull in musicians? Are you finding new, like, how are you finding new musicians? Is it all about relationships through other people? How do you even go about that?
I've been fortunate that it's been pretty organic. I mean, you know, you set your intentions, of course. You know, you always want to collaborate with musicians, like-minded individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And then if there are particular people that you're aware of that are on your radar, you know, you can set your intentions to like, okay, I want to connect with this person. I want to connect with that person. And then, you know, you do the work, you practice, you know what I mean? Like, and eventually, I mean, at least in my case, it's all been pretty organic. You know, a lot of great musicians I've met through other musicians or just by, I mean, I haven't done this kind of thing in a while, but, you know, there was a time when I would go to jam sessions more frequently. Yeah. And then, you know, of course, pre-pandemic festivals are always great because it's just a hub of musicians in one place at one time. So that's always a great place to meet people.
Yes.
Then, of course, there are people that you grow up with, you know, so there's that generation. And then there's the elders, you know, quite a few of which I've been fortunate enough to, you know, work with. And there's a lot of learning in that because they're present, but they also have all this, you know, history that they have to draw from. So, you know, it's always great, I think, for anybody to link up with an elder, especially one that they have an affinity for, you know, whose music they have an affinity for. That's even better, of course.
Absolutely. Like finding mentors, I think is really, really important. Right. Yep. And now, you know, you are becoming like the mentor, right? Like, which is
getting old.
You know, and it's not even an age thing because you're young, but like, you know, there is this next generation coming up that are like hungry for the same kind of thing that that you experienced, right? And so it's pretty incredible. And also, you know, this generation coming up with all of their incredible talent. It's amazing.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's inspiring.
And so, okay, so you have had these experiences which are amazing, and you know are in this kind of like group, like you talked about your peers and the people that you come up with. I just have to recognize the fact that like it is an amazing community, like this group that of your peers and in this kind of age group. It's pretty incredible, the support that everybody has for each other. I love to see that. And I would, you know, when you would come and visit, when I was at Zildjian and you would come and visit with the whole group of people, it was amazing to see. Like,
the drum is a different kind of, you know, even within the music community, the drum and the spirit of the drum, I feel like this is such a communal vibe. More so than any other instrument, you're more likely to run into like 5 or 6 drummers hanging out than any other instrument that I can think of.
And it's the best time. It's the drummer hangs are the best.
They are.
Yes.
Yep. I think that's unanimous. I would say that's unanimous. I don't see who's going to debate that. But, you know.
No one will debate. It's the best. And I cannot wait until we get back to that kind of thing. Like, if the NAMM show or whatever, whatever it is, just that community vibe, like where everyone's together, and supporting each other. Video shoot experiences, just where, it's a group. And you mentioned the festival thing too. Like that's also another great example of just like the supportive group attitude and then the connections that you make through those kinds of things that carry you through.
Sure. Yep.
I think that's pretty important.
1000%. Yep.
Absolutely. And so, okay, so now to present day, you have some things that you're doing right now. I am super excited that you're going to be at PASIC. Like that's incredible. And I know we had a conversation a few days back about this. But it's amazing. This is one thing that's going to be in person. And I feel like it is going to be a little kind of like glimpse of normalcy, even though there'll be, a lot of precautions taken, but it's going to be so good. Like I just mentioned with the drummer hangs thing, it's like a giant drummer hang for days.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing, and that I remember hearing about PASIC since I was a little kid. And I've never been there. I've been to some of the other drum festivals and workshops, and there used to be the IAJE back in the day, which is not exclusive to drums, of course, but it's and then Modern Drummer Festival I've been to a few times, but PASIC I've never had the opportunity to even witness, so it's let alone perform in, so it's pretty exciting.
Yes. Yeah. PASIC is like it's like a family reunion of drummers. That's how that's how I describe it, because it's like all the companies, the manufacturers come, and all of you guys who are performing, and the educational clinics and panel discussions and all of that. And then it's like such a great opportunity to catch up with people. That's my favorite thing. So I will be there cheering you on and,
Thank you, Sarah.
clapping for you and all excited. And so that's a good thing to tell people to check out. That happens in November in Indianapolis, and it is starts on November 10th. And, you have to just go on pasic.org. And check out the lineup, because it's incredible. And I'm psyched that you're a part of it, because it's going to be fun.
It's going to be really fun. I think so. Yeah. Indianapolis. Last time I was there, I was in Indianapolis, I feel like a couple of years ago, actually. I think I've only been there twice. But the last time I was playing, that's where Sweetwater is, right?
Sweetwater is in Indiana, not too far. I think it's a few hours drive maybe from Indianapolis.
Oh, okay. Different city. Okay.
They're in Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne, okay.
Yes. And Indianapolis is it's really like an amazing foodie city. Like the restaurants are great.
So I like the sound of that, actually.
Right? Okay. So
I'm a foodie, yeah.
So there is for the drummers who are attending PASIC, or if you find your way through Indianapolis, there is a place called St. Elmo's, and I just have to mention this place because our friends, so Aaron Spears and Matt Greiner and Kaz Rodriguez and these guys, this is the place to go, because there is a shrimp cocktail there that has this fresh horseradish sauce that it's spicy. It's spicy. It's so spicy, but it's not like hot spicy. It's the spicy that goes right up your sinuses, immediate like pain in your forehead. However, it's like the greatest thing ever. So
I'm into that. I love horseradish, actually.
Okay, you have to go there. We'll go. I will take you there. We're going, and so you can have, and then we'll have to take pictures and send it to all of our friends, because they'll know exactly what's happening with the shrimp cocktail. Okay. It's the place.
And it also means a lot coming from you, because you spending all this time in Massachusetts. I'm like, a good shrimp cocktail.
Well,
when you taste one, you know about the shellfish, I'm sure. I mean, you know.
Yeah, yes. So, yes, being in Massachusetts, it's like, seafood capital. Well, like New Orleans probably too,
New Orleans
like,
too. Yep.
But yes, the New England whole thing, the whole vibe. But yeah, you'll have to check this out. And I was just there in Indianapolis in August and had to have the shrimp cocktail sauce. So,
oh wow.
Yes, and you can also order it on Amazon. So this podcast is not sponsored by St. Elmo's, but
wait, you said you can order the shrimp the shrimp cocktail on Amazon?
You can order the sauce on Amazon.
Oh, the sauce.
Not the
I was like, what?
Shrimp.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to provide the shrimp yourself.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, so Indianapolis is a great town. The food is amazing, and then they have the Rhythm Discovery Center, which right now is displaying Ringo Starr's drum set. So super cool.
Wait, Ringo's drum set is in Indianapolis?
Yes, it's at the Rhythm Discovery Center. It is awesome. When you're there, you'll have to check out.
So hold on. So Indianapolis, I know there are a lot of great musicians, especially gospel musicians coming from there. But what's the connection between Ringo and Indianapolis, though?
Well, so PAS, the Progressive Art Society, the organization that puts on PASIC, has Rhythm Discovery Center, which is an actual like physical museum that you can go to check out all kinds of historic instruments, displays. You can play instruments. It's incredible.
Wow.
They had Neil Peart's kit on display for years. There's like, I'm trying to remember what's on display right now, but they've had a Ginger Baker kit. There's a bunch of awesome drums there. Wow. But so this Ringo kit, I believe, is actually owned by the Indianapolis Colts owner. Don't quote me on this, but I think that's the case. And so it's on loan at the museum for like an amount of time so that people can come and see it. It's amazing.
Wow.
I took some pictures while I was there last time, so I'll have to send them to you. But yeah, the actual museum is really amazing, and they do events there. And during PASIC, you'll be able to go check it out if you want. So it's just kind of like another thing in Indianapolis. That's a good, it's a good thing to do if you're a drummer or percussionist or into that stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
So we'll do that. We'll make sure that you get. I'll be your tour guide in Indianapolis.
That'll be excellent.
We'll just tour the restaurants.
Yeah, I would greatly appreciate that, Sarah. That would be beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have a cool like museum, like a science museum too, which I haven't been to before, but it looks super cool. So lots to do. Lots to do.
Excellent.
Okay.
I'm into science museums actually.
Yeah, it looks cool. Maybe that's a place to go.
Yeah, absolutely. If I get some time, I'll definitely try to make it there because that's always been a natural attraction I've had. Always had to science, actually, all different types of sciences. So,
absolutely, same here. And we have in Boston, we have a great science museum too. If you've never been there, you should definitely check it out. It's super great. They have lots of different like like seasonal exhibits as well. Like something's always going on. But
got you.
I always loved. They have like a space section that was always my favorite because I'm so into space.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's space. So that was, it's super cool if you get a chance.
Wow. Okay.
That's come to Boston. We'll go out on duck tour. We'll go to Fenway Park. We'll go to the Science Museum.
Fenway Park, yeah. Yeah, I'm not one of those New Yorkers who's like extremely against all the Boston baseball teams. I'm not one of those guys. So.
Oh, good. Okay. I like New York too, so we can be friends.
We can work together. Yeah, that's cool. That's good.
I know. I don't really understand the rivalry either, but it's probably because like I'm sure you have a lot of friends in Boston. I have a lot of friends in New York, and I'm just like.
I got family too. I mean, that's the thing.
Right,
I got Roxbury.
family, yes.
I got a lot of family in Roxbury and Boston in general. But
right,
my grandfather's from there, and his brothers and cousins and. Yeah,
absolutely, and it's a great music town, right? Like
it is
so great.
A lot of great drummers came from there. Alan Dawson, well, obviously Grandpops, Tony Williams.
Yeah.
Chick is from Chelsea or Cambridge. Chelsea, I think. He's from like outside of Boston, but Massachusetts, you know.
Yep. Probably Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
amazing.
yeah.
It's a good place.
Right. Yeah.
All right. But so we're going to have a blast in Indianapolis. So anyone out there listening, come to Indianapolis in November. See Marcus play. It is so much fun, right? Some of the other artists that are performing. Robert Glasper is like closing out the show with Damien. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
that's excellent. Well, I was just playing a lot of gigs. I'm actually going to be playing with him right before. We did a bunch of gigs in September, but we're doing some more stuff at the beginning of November, right before PASIC, like a week before.
Amazing. Okay.
In New York. A tribute to Chick, actually.
Very cool. I love that. So that'll be great. So
it'll be great to see him with Damien. That'll be really great.
Yeah, so that's the Saturday night. So that will be the closing concert.
Wow, this is gonna be a really good. It's gonna be
really good
great. PASIC. Damn.
Absolutely. Yeah, Thomas Lang and Pete Lockett, Clayton Cameron.
All right.
Larnell Lewis, yes. Larnell Ulysses Owens Jr. will be there. He'll be playing. So yeah, it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great. Yeah.
Super excited about it.
Yeah, I'm like, come
right. I love it. One of the other things too I wanted to ask you about was your style, because your grandfather like takes the cake with the he just is so stylish. And I have to tell you a real quick story. The first time I ever met Roy, I was picking him up, and we talked about this earlier before we started recording, the train station, right? In Boston. When you come to visit Boston, the train station, but I was picking him up at the train station. And at the time I had said, is he going to be in a certain area? I'd asked John DeChristopher, is Roy going to be waiting in a certain spot so I can find him? And he said, don't worry, you will find him.
John knows. Okay. John,
so I went and I picked him up. And
flossed out.
Oh my gosh. He was, he had a cowboy hat on and his cowboy boots. And I was just like,
sunglasses.
Love them. Sunglasses. Love it. And I always knew like he was always dressed really well. But that was the first time I was meeting him in person. And I was just in awe. I think his jacket was like a crushed velvet kind of thing with, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I just loved him from that very moment. And
everything's like custom made and
custom. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I noticed that has also not just the talent, but your style. I just love your style too. So
thank you.
Absolutely. You're always dressed so well, and and you just have your own thing. So absolutely kind of goes along with everything else.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I always see it as an extension of my art. So, it should, it just reflects who you are,
For sure. Yeah.
I'm into clothes.
And tell me how it's been getting back out, playing shows, because you've been, getting out there where you can. How are things with that? How does it feel kind of being back out, doing things again after?
Feels great. I mean, yeah, I'm reflecting on, the performances I've had, this month, last month, and August is when they kind of started coming back more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been really great, especially catching the the outdoor festivals before temperatures started getting cooler. So because I always love a good outdoor festival, even before the pandemic, but I guess now it feels more significant because it's like a safer environment.
Absolutely.
But I've always been into it, so I'm glad I got to catch that before we transitioned into fall. And then now that we're here, playing even playing indoor venues has been really exciting, and it just feels I never took things for granted, but I would say that I cherish them even more now, of course, after what we've been through. So it feels great to be back and playing with people, and not just looking. I gotta say, I was really fortunate to participate in some streamed gigs, during the pandemic. But it's just nice to perform with people and not just an empty room with cameras. It's like,
right.
You have to bring the vibe with you. So, it can be great in its own kind of way, but there's nothing like playing in an environment with people and transferring the energy back and forth. That's a very, 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 very sacred thing, actually. So.
Yes. Yeah. And is the energy different at all now, or like, does it feel like any different?
Well, yes and no. I mean, it feels like the best of what was possible before the pandemic. Like the most enthusiastic audiences, most attentive, the most effusive audiences. It's like that. But even for like venues or situations where you wouldn't necessarily expect it, like even the more local gigs, or you just feel it a lot more. Although there's also, it really depends, it varies, right? So there's like, I think in one sense we're getting more energy from the people on a more consistent basis. Not so much as like, oh, that concert was crazy, that audience was like really live, and the one after was just kind of whatever, talking throughout the set or whatever. Like it really depends, because there were a few performances that I participated in where it felt like people were genuinely listening, but they just weren't sure how to respond because it'd been so long. That's happened a few times too. And I was like, okay, I kind of was wondering, I was like, man, this is kind of quiet, especially for like DC audiences are generally very like open and effusive. But I think really what it was is that people, it's like their first time back going to a show, and they have different ways of like reacting to that. Or, some people are just extra live, and some people are just kind of more reserved because they just haven't done it in so long. So there's been that.
Yeah.
But all in all, it's felt pretty great, I gotta say. It feels pretty great.
That's so good.
Playing in different rooms too, like and adjusting the way you're playing to the rooms. It's just something I haven't been doing as much of in the last couple of years. So
that's fantastic. I'm so glad to hear that. And so we know that you have some dates coming up with Robert Glasper, and you'll be at PASIC in November. What else is on the horizon for you?
I got some more stuff with Zakir, and some more of my own stuff, my own projects, recording and performing. I'm actually at the Vanguard right now. So, but it's not my band. It's with Ambrose Akinmusire, a really great trumpet player and composer. And then just other things here and there. Nothing, I'm not trying to go out for too long at any one period. I'd be pretty extreme to like go all this while without touring and then just go to like a 3-month tour. Like I'm not trying to do that.
Yes. Yeah, ease back in, right?
Yeah. Take your time.
Right. That's good. So, that's very good.
But it's exciting though. A lot of things have happened, and a lot of albums have been released too recently that I felt like I recorded a while ago, but because of the way things were going with the pandemic, they waited a little bit longer to release them and stuff. So that's been cool. There's a new album that came. This new Pat Metheny album just came out a few weeks ago that we did in 2019. That's been pretty cool, and there's a lot of stuff happening at the same time.
That's great. That's so good. I mean, it's so different from like a year ago when everyone was like, nothing's happening. So
yeah, exactly. I know.
Or not nothing, but it wasn't what it is now. So
yeah, nothing that. Yeah, exactly.
So fingers crossed.
Yeah. I know as we head into the colder months, it's like, let's just keep it going. Although I definitely appreciate a lot of things about just having the space at home, like we talked about earlier. But yeah, I'm excited to be back. So
good. That's great. And I have one important question for you. Can't forget to ask you this. Did you ever get your Grammy certificate?
No. No. I got the Grammy. It's weird because I actually got the Grammy last May 2020 because it was for the Grammys of 2020.
Yes.
So I got the actual Grammy in May, and that was great. And then a year later, I got Juliana's certificate.
Yeah. So you got Mark Juliana's Grammy certificate, and which was funny, but like,
but it's like, what the heck is going on? Like,
what
why?
is going on?
And why is it coming like a year and a half after the actual Grammy came?
Right.
And it's not even the right one. You know, I talked to him about it. He was like, yeah, man, I'm sorry. I was like, did they give you mine? He was like, nope. I said, well, I got to find a way to get you yours because I have it. So I haven't seen him in forever, but I'll get it back. I'm going to have to inquire to the cats at the Recording Academy because somebody got it.
Yeah.
Somebody has it.
Right.
And it would be nice to get a hold of it. So, yeah, I never got it.
That is too crazy. I mean, I'm thinking like you guys have the same initials, but
Right.
you know, some person who was just putting them in envelopes and mailing them out, put the wrong label on or whatever.
Is the irony that it's actually somebody that this is actually a drummer and somebody that I know.
Right. That is the weirdest thing.
That's
right?
the weird thing about it.
So strange.
Yeah, it's pretty strange.
Yeah,
I'll have to get to the bottom of it.
Absolutely. Speaking of Mark too, I think he's coming through New York maybe soon, but he's out. He's been touring. Right? What is that?
Well, he's playing with St. Vincent, right?
With St. Vincent, yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
It looks like a fun tour.
Yes, it does, right? And I feel like, and I might have said this to him, but it's like perfect for him. Like,
yeah, it does seem perfect for him, actually.
Perfect.
From what I can tell, I was like, yeah, this is actually perfect for Mark.
Right? It's just, I love it. I absolutely love it. But yeah, so another incredible drummer in this community. But I just want to say thank you so much, Marcus, for coming on and chatting today. And I am so excited about seeing you in like less than a month. Yeah. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I'm excited about seeing you too. I mean, yeah, last time we saw each other was January 2020. So this is going to be nice. Nice little hang. Now that I know that Damian's going to be there too, that's going to be great. Yeah, it's going to be a good hang.
It's going to be great. Yeah. I can't wait. Yes. But until then, take care, and we'll catch up soon, and then maybe we'll do like some restaurant reviews or something. You know,
yeah, we should do a podcast about that because and Damian too because he's a real foodie too. He got special knives and everything. Like
we'll take Damian too. He'll come with us. Get some shrimp cocktail.
Yep. That sounds great, actually.
Awesome, Marcus. Well, thank you so much again, and I will see you very soon.
Yes, Sarah. Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for tuning in today. Join us each Tuesday for new episodes of Sarah Hagan Backstage.